This is Gerald van Was. The practical aspects of what I have here in the scheme and in the books concerning certain words where the letters are not really connecting itself to an area that is nearly the same, but that has a couple of associations there that are, for instance, are related with that context area or with timings. There could be some difficulties in making the puzzle easy for everybody to see immediately from how do we connect these letters and show also what it presents. Is it always immediately available as I show it sometimes that you can see the form forming itself by the combinations of letters? Not always the case. In the case of arrow, it was a bit more difficult, but I took this example especially that to show you that it still shows the combination of letters still shows you in which direction your aim is, because it's almost about aiming something, and in which direction your mind is going, and what the suggestion is in the word. Sometimes even more than how the object looks like, and where it is connected to is also connected in the word sometimes. Well, by interconnections of other words sometimes as well, of course. So let's investigate arrow. So I will make some detours first, but in the end result will be clear immediately. While in the beginning you might have a few times that you say, okay, but what can I do with that at that point, and is it true or not true? How can I know? With the end results, it will all come together, and it will be shown how arrow is pointing into a certain direction of thought. That will be very clear how this suggestive word is about and what it is expressing. I will also compare it to bow and to aim in the end. If we simply want to make a puzzle, like some people would probably want to do, by understanding this theory in the background already somewhat, and I try to figure out, okay, let's see how well we can combine it. It will have some challenges as well, because of course you have the separate puzzle pieces that will help you. I have here the A, the R, the O, and the W that expresses what is beyond it in the structured underneath as focuses. And we could make it we could make it we could deliberately make it connect. Like for instance, if we take the R from the one part of the bow and the other R, the other part of the bow, and we have the A as the aiming, and we have the O as a direction, and it goes into a direction, we could make it very easily fit as well. But it's better that we also use some methodical foundation in it, that we also know what we're doing, instead of just making a puzzle and make it work. Because you could easily make it work and understand that arrow is connected to the bow in that way. Still you don't see the arrow and in that point, but you see the aim in it. That will be immediately visible, but what the arrow is will not be made visible immediately by simply taking the easiest way to express it. But so you have to understand what you're working with. The A is about focus. The R is about connecting. There's double R, so it will be connecting with connecting. So you always have a two-dimensional or even three-dimensional way of connecting. You're connecting to a certain moment where you see, okay, here is the connection. And with the W, you have an outer effect. That also is understandable with the usage of the arrow in the same way. But where will it connect to? Where will the R connect to? So here I will make some detours and some investigations before I make a conclusion. No, it can only be this. But first, focus a little bit of if we want to know how we have to connect with the A. Yeah, the A, where can I connect in A? Usually I would say, okay, it is in the middle, because A actually is a starting point. A point, really, as a starting point. But there comes more to it, because you use it also in a context. You use it in a timing. And by using it, there will become also other features which will be less important, because the most important feature is that focus in the middle, our starting point. The starting point of the whole system, A, is that point in the middle. But every letter, and every orientation has these three aspects again as well. These three aspects of a spatial orientation, a focus, you have a formation process, and you have a limitation process, a limiting process, the borders and so on. So these three parts are there. But when you have that focus just in the starting point, the more you go to, let's say the end, the borders here, that will be not, in this case with the A, it is not defined. The formation process is already less clear. That's our intention, and that's are the consequences of focusing upon the center. When you focus completely on the center and say, yes, I have the middle and I use it, you will have a very clear vision of what you use, what your starting point is, already a little bit less clear of what will be formed, what will fit in the form, what will come to it in form, and what will all not be clear at all is until where that will lead you to, until where that will go, until which borders it will go. It will be in that way, as an effect on you in the letter A, it will causes an adaptive nature. It will be causing an adaptive nature, especially to the limits, because they are not determined, they are not defined. So by using A, we use a foundation that what we know, and we give it form and so on. But until how far it goes, we still don't know yet. So there is that kind of estimation. So now you already understand where that comes from, how we associate from here. So if we want to connect in R is about making connections to limits, because it's now going to which limit and to what end shall I limit myself, and to what end shall I connect the whole material towards it. It is already more difficult with A, because A is having, it's almost having no limit. So it is very difficult to have a word arrow from A to R where A has no borders, and the R will connect to a certain limit or limitation or goal, and even with a double R. So this double R, which connects itself to the whole process of forming itself during its process of understanding and learning and adapting and so on, it will connect further. But connect further to what? So that makes this a difficult word to express, even if everybody knows what arrow is, but this A plus R will not immediately connect to something which is at this point already not there from the start. R on its own, just looking with A and R, just seen from the formation process which will happen at some point or another, we can imagine the form connected with AR. R. R is that fits quite well with some of the birds' snouts, let's say, which that fits quite well if we just have R, AR, and nothing else but than that. But it's not like that. It is a double R. So how shall we connect into, we have to almost add an extra frame in an extra dimension, the two dimensions. It's in two directions. How can we do that? That's a problem when we rationalize our process here and try to find out what it is. That's not easy to do. So I will gradually tell you what are the possibilities. In the end, it will be even more simple than you can imagine. But this extra R of the extra connection, it doesn't connect itself easily anymore. It's a connection which you don't have, and you connect it even more with that extra R. How can we, in God's name, do that? R is from the third category. It will express itself also in 1, 2, 3 in connections. It will always can only show that itself in context, so we have to look for that context. Now we already know what that context will lead to. It will lead to the letter O. O is that perfect moment in now, which prepares itself, and now it's not there, now it's there, and then I can make the connection how it really is and how far it reaches. And with W it also says how big the tension is of my reaching. So that's already a little bit more closer. That's the way how to connect to it. It will connect to a certain moment with an after effect. So the A itself will always be that focus. I try to focus onto the right moment, that I have that moment that I desire for, and then in the end I will also have an effect, an applicable effect. It will reach its effect. W means it's that after effect. It will have an after effect, so it will just be what it will be. How well we focus upon it, of course. A itself, you can also, because we involve it with timing, we can have a timing schedule in it. We can, and then we make the connection during the time process, so that we have an R to row, so that in the end we will have that after effect of going towards it. That's already acceptable as an explanation. It's understandable as an explanation. It doesn't prove the explanation, but it shows you what's underneath. In A we go towards a continuous, towards a certain continuity in our focus. We keep that focus continued towards that end goal then as well. But let's see it from another angle. That's maybe easier, that we can also prove it a little bit. How shall we connect the R to the A? It's not so easy to do so, and then even prove it that this is the only way. So I'll see it from a different angle. I will see the angle from my vision towards the world with the 3 regions of my letters into the 3 categories. The focus of space, then the timings, which are a bit further, which leads my vision to left or right, or the bigger context in the end, where you don't see the things very well, with all the connections that can be there and all the connections that are available there. These are the 3 zones. So the direct measurements in A, the timings additionally, and the bigger context even more additionally of the letters that are connected with that. And of course you already see all the connection points that we can have. In A, we can also derive that to numbers, because the whole system is based also about numbers. I hardly use them, but they are needed to know and to understand what kind of focus we're using. And it is actually not just numbers. In numerology it's just numbers. Here it is numbers and approaches towards numbers. So actually, if you have, for instance, A, T and K, only T is number 1, only L is number 2, only M is number 3. A is coming towards 1. In numerology it's just 1, but in my theory it's a bit more specific. It is from 0 to 1, so it is forming itself towards a measurement. You can see it, how the A looks like. It's that perspective. It goes towards that 0 point, which is also infinity by the way, because it connects to other things, but it's that 0 point in a perspective, and in between that zone you have a definition. There's a certain range where you can measure it, and that range, from the moment you say, okay, here I can see it, and I know, and I understand it, I have a focus, that's the number 1. That's the number 1 we will use. But the A is forming towards the yeah, a definition of one, because we're still not sure, yeah, how far shall we be able to see, how far can we go with it. So it is going towards that number one. It is making a definition while it's going. That's so it's a different perspective than the letter T, which is exactly number one. Here it is going towards it and actually saying, yeah, I know I can see it, and there are parts that I can't see it. It is still trying to measure, trying to make up a perspective. That's why the A is about perspective, trying to make your perspective. That's our starting point. We will connect it to R later. R is in the background. These are the connection points of contexts, and it will connect all material that is available that will also make more context. It connects the material that it will say, okay, it can increase the context. The context can become stronger now. That's the idea beyond the R, and you see all the connection points that are possible. So still we don't know which ones to choose. And that's difficult at this point. So what will be able to be connected? What's the range actually from where I can connect A to R? A, if you really have the context of A as well. So if you put that in the full context, yeah, then you have not just what I see now, but there's also what I saw in the past, what I have my impression of the past, or what had been in the past, or what will be in the future. The range of the context of A, what I have now, is also related with the time schedule, and then how we connect to it, of course, as well. And in the past it is related to what I had, in the present is related to what I have, and in the future it is related to what I might have. All with the letter A, but all in a different sense also how it connects in I might. You still need a good idea of the letter E to it to really be sure that you can connect to it. But it all remains in one point, on that horizontal plane as well. In space, it remains steady. That's your steady view, and your steady view is there all the time. And it's always in one point. That's the point that we connect. That's the way to connect. But you could connect to a point in somewhere in time as well, not just in where you have it now. So that's another possibility. So okay, we found it. We can also connect A as long as it's on that line, on that horizontal line. As long as it's in the point, we can connect A into actually three different points when we bring it into the context of context. But the timing itself, because then we don't still know what kind of timing do we have, and so how do we connect to timing? The next words, letters in the word actually are about timing, so the next R will connect to timing. It's O, it's our focus. Our focus goes away to, where we will connect to and when will we connect it. And it's not just O, it's also the W. So here, these two letters are about that timing process. How shall we time it? And what kind of result shall we get in the timing? So, it is already obvious that we have to prepare, almost like in the past. We prepare ourselves, our ideas, so that we can find the correct moment, so that it will lead to a certain result that it is. That's the after effect. W is about after effects. And that will lead to what it will lead to, that kind of after effect. So until here, that is also understandable what the arrow will do, what our focus is. So the connection, how we can design the connection is a bit more difficult. But that makes it maybe more easy that we just design it by separating the letters a little bit. So I have the A, the R, the O, and the W at the right positions. So I connect A to R again, to O, then from O I will add also W. So it's already a bit more clear what we have here. We start with the focus which has roots in the past. Go to the continue this focus in the present with our direct measurements. That's how we measure the things, and we measure it now by connecting it. We connect it in context immediately. This context itself and our way to connect to the future will connect to the right moment in the future, which will have some deviations in the end. Just change it into numbers a little bit. So how is this focus from 1 to 3 actually going on? A is less than 1, so it is forming itself, it's reaching out towards its goal, and in this way the context forces us to think about, okay, let's be well prepared, let's focus well now, and let's also focus towards the future, what we will get, what we don't know, what we will get yet, because that's one of the aspects of A. We don't know the end effect. The end effect will be defined in timing. In O, that's the number 2. It's related with that, with the second degree, with the number 2, second degree in timing. So in timing, so after these timings, we will have the next timings in O, and that will lead to the W. It reaches out to something too. So let's resume it now a little bit, what we have here just as a focus. This is just describing the focus, but I'll resume it in an abstract way that we will understand it very well. And the abstract way will be very simplified, and that will be very easy. So we know already that A, it's because we connect it to context, it's not needed just to focus on A at this moment alone, but it's also finding context immediately. So in the past and the future, in A, we follow up the progress and process towards the context that it will bring via R. And there will be 2 R's. One R is from A, starts from A, trying to connect. That's me who try to connect. And the other R is, of course, the connections that it will bring. The next letter, the O, is that timing frame, so it will time it towards the perfect moment. So this focus that I'm already describing in context of trying to connect and will be connected, will get a timing, will have a moment, a momentum is a better way, and this momentum will have an after effect, and it will give it an effect for whatever that effect is, what it will give. So that is already quite logical and understandable again. So I have a focus of direction, one pointed focus, we in A. This focus via this R, trying to connect, creating a connection, getting a connection, it will be in between this zone of this almost two-dimensional frame in time and space. It's in context. It's a reorganization effect. I will not talk about the higher dimensions, but that's what it's doing. It's reorganization. It's a reorganization in time and context. I will connect to it, and something will connect to it as well. It's not that complicated if you think about it in normal terms. And via R plus R, it will become connected. And of course, with O, you find the connection point at the right moment, and the way how you connected to it from you, or how the things connected to it to you from your connecting to it, will have a good or a bad effect, or will deviate with the W a little bit more or less. So the conclusion of it, what is it really expressing, arrow? it's very clear that this is much more about that focus that you need to use the arrow, much more than the arrow itself. It has that effect of course of yeah, how shall I focus, and because the way I focus and the way how the connections will be found is interconnected. That's what is also interconnected in that arrow. The arrow also has a relationship to that aiming of the arrow, and that's even more than the form that we use to express it into and to say okay, it has a direction. It not only has a direction of how I direct it, but it also has a direction of its own. That's all about the arrow. It's all connected with that arrow. Arrow as a physical object is also very connected to the bow, and in that way we besides that we also use the arrow in a different context. We have it as a physical object completely connected to the bow plus arrow, and these words are actually so well connected that they are almost interacting to each other into the same image. And I will show you this image of, because the bow is also ending in the same O, and that is also directing to the same O focus as that you can see here. The B, as you can see, is just that pressure point that makes it so that the arrow indeed goes into the direction that is desired. So the bow has the letter B in the beginning, and B is actually just pressure. So it's just having that pressure without having the association to what shall I connect, or that kind of connection is not there. That's in the arrow. The arrow will connect and the bow will not connect. The B will give that right pressure for it, so that in the end you will have O that reach that goal of the moment and the end effect that it wants to achieve there. If you put in both focuses of bow and arrow together, it will be even more clear. With the O, you will focus mostly after the B pressure, focus immediately on that space, the O, where you will try to receive that effect. That bow will focus in that direction. The arrow will focus from A to keep the focus straight as possible, as the A is always going straight, and it will have its effect with R connect, you connect, and the other things connect in that balance, so that the end effect hopefully will have that straight line still from the A, that when the moment comes that it reaches its goal, is not deviated too much. At least that is what we want in A, but it will have its effect of the how it connected under its during its process, of course. So these should make it clear that the what these words actually are expressing. So the aiming itself is also about preparing yourself well, so that you will get in the end the end effect that you want. Aim is actually also a quite interesting word, because aim focus once more on the A, our focus, our goal is, and our goal has some options here. In E is always like there's only one option that will work, and that you have always these three options again, because this is a letter from the last category, the context, and in the context you always have these three options, and only one of them is completely correct. The other one you have to check out which one is the most correct one. Of course it will, like in the arrow, it can where will it go to? So more to that part, more like that. M is literally about what the results physically will be able to bring by aiming well, actually, as well. So even with if your aim has a goal into that direction to create these results that you want, these added values as well, that you highlight, you want to highlight and have an extra coming out of it with an extra goal of it. That's your aim. You want something extra to come out of it. But the way how you insert it will also create different results if your aim is not focused well enough, but you can focus directly towards these physical results. That's what the word aim is about. I hope I brought you closer to these 3 words, and I'm sorry that I made some detour, but then you also have an idea why every letter has a certain range of what you can do with it. You can't do things with it endlessly, and you can also not connect to it endlessly. It has an aim on its own. It's directing certain things in its own nature. Every letter has its own nature. If you understand these natures well, you can aim also your understanding of letter combinations well, so that you can also build up the meaningfulness of every letter and letter combination as well. Thanks again for watching. Bye bye.